Welcome back to the DA Show here on CBS Sports Radio, everybody. So glad you're with us. You can listen to us across the great CBS Sports Radio Network on all of our hundreds of affiliates nationwide and north of the border. Also on Sirius XM Channel 206. And you can stream us using the CBS Sports app, the radio.com app, or Apple Music. Our next guest is a longtime analyst for the MLB Network. You see him on Intentional Talk every single day. He loves spring training. He loves driving. He loves driving around spring training. Joining us here on the show, also a member of the 04 Red Sox, Kevin Millar. Kevin, good morning.
We're doing good. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks so much for joining us. And this whole spring training has been all about the Astros. I don't want to start with the Astros. I might not even want to talk at all about the Astros. Let's start with Christian Yelich and that cash. People say, well, the sport is dying. The pace of play is too slow. But here's a middle market team spending $200 million on Christian Yelich. Is that evidence that the sport is financially very healthy?
Yeah, the sport is financially very healthy. We already given $500 million to Mike Trout, who people say you can sit there and argue the best player in all of baseball. We've seen $300 million deals going to pitchers and position players. We've seen the $250 million deals. We've got Yelich now. Listen, this kid, when he was with Miami, you looked at him, this tall, lanky kid, can run, can field, can hit, power will come around, and boy, did it come around. And I'll tell you right now, what an awesome young man and a foundation of a person to build around an organization like Milwaukee, who the fan base up there sometimes doesn't get enough credit. And it's an all-football type city because there's nothing like Favre and the Packers talking about and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers all the way through. But I love this sign, and I really do love what Craig Counsell and this organization has done over the last few years.
So how does the narrative get so broken when, as you mentioned, franchises are handing out $200, $300, $400 million contracts, and people say, well, baseball's dying. How are we so far off?
Well, you know what? It's healthy. Financially, it's healthy. We need to figure out how to get more kids involved and how to get more of the inner city kids involved and how to keep baseball at the top as America's pastime, because baseball is a wonderful sport. Is it exciting to watch if you're not a baseball player? Absolutely. It'll bore you to death not, right? You always talk about somebody that likes sports but it's not like so into watching baseball on TV. Going to a game in person is more, obviously a lot more fun because of the excitement and the action. So, the commissioner and Major League Baseball is trying to make these tweaks to make the games faster, limiting the catchers, meetings to the mound, the replay system kind of moving and shaking and grooving. But overall, let's be honest. I mean, when this time of year comes, it's spring training. It's baseball season's right around the corner, and we always go through this dead period in sports because Super Bowl's over. Then we're waiting around for March Madness, but you can kind of smell the baseball in the air.
Kevin Millar joins MLB Network's Intentional Talk. Drop it on by CBS Sports Radio. Spring training is, as he says, in the air. And the New York Yankees last year dealt with a crazy rash of injuries, and now they're piling up again. Can Yankee fans expect the Bombers to survive another year where all of their stars are banged up and they're dealing with this many injuries?
Yeah, the good news is it's practice right now, right? You know that there's going to be injuries throughout a Major League Baseball season. It's a long season. It's a grind. It's 162 games plus 30 games, in spring training. And you know what? They're good enough, and that's part of having depth. I mean, their bullpen's nasty. You're going to lose starters throughout the year, and the teams that don't, it's lucky. I remember in 2004 we went through an entire season, and our starters made every start. From Bronson Arroyo to Tim Wakefield to Derek Lowe to Pedro Martinez and Kurt Schilling. That's a very, very lucky season, right? But now you look at the Yankees, obviously the Stanton situation. These big guys are tough to stay healthy all year long. They're just big, strong muscles. And I joke around because when I played, now you look at these players, they look like Adonises. I mean, they have body fat of 4.2%. They're all ripped. They're all 6'3". I'm like, where's the bad body guys like myself? Like, used to roll into camp to get into shape. You're eating a hot dog and drinking a beer and hanging out and, doing your thing. Now you go into camp. I mean, they all got trainers. They've been working out at these IPAs, APAs, and, not IPAs, but, these clinics.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no more IPAs.
That's right. But, it cracks me up because I mean, players look amazing in a bathing suit. I've never looked amazing in a bathing suit. I was in baseball shape. And so there's this fine line. You need a little fat to play that many games and be in baseball shape than to be in this perfectly body shape that has a lot of oblique injuries and a lot of, just a lot of strains in the calves and the hamstrings. So it's interesting. I think the Yankees are a good ball club and they got a lot of depth. And I guess my point is they're going to be fine. And Aaron Boone does a great job over there with his staff. And I think that's why you want depth, because when injuries happen, you want guys to step up and just fill in. And they've come a lot quicker than people expected the last few years.
Kevin Millar is our guest talking baseball this morning here on the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. Mike Trout's all everything. Mike Trout's the best player in the game. Mike Trout is the best player you've watched in baseball since who?
Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, to me, made this game look like a video game. He really did. I mean, when you look at a guy that stepped in a batter's box, at times would get walked 200 times a year, and it seemed like he got 2 pitches a week to hit, and the ones he got, he homered. So he made the game. All the great ones make the game look real easy. Remember Andrew Jones in center field for the Braves when he first came up? I mean, he was like our version of Willie Mays. I never got a chance to see Willie Mays play, but that's what everybody says. And to watch this kid roam the outfield, it was sweet. So every great player makes that game look really easy, and I think Barry Bonds was that guy for me. He made the game look too easy, and I just hit in that same batter's box. It's not that easy to hit.
Okay, so let's do the game where if Bonds took PEDs and Mike Trout does not, Mike Trout's the best clean baseball player that you've seen since who?
Well, I don't know what all baseball players do behind the scenes. So since, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, these guys, they're pure hitters. Mike Trout, all around power, speed, linebacker, just does it all on the field. And let's not forget a good person. There's a difference between being a great, player and then not so good of a role model. I think Mike Trout is exactly what Derek Jeter as a role model, was. And I think you want every kid to be like Mike Trout. You want I wanted my kids to play the game like Derek Jeter. And a lot of that's with attitude, not throwing helmets and bats and gloves around because, you try to tell little kids at Little Leagues, hey, the quicker you can get over that you're going to get out and learn how to fail, the better off you're going to be. And guys like Mike Trout, you really want to latch on to. But I think Jeter would be my answer to that one before Trout.
There are 2 camps on Mike Fiers, and one is he did a great service to baseball, and then 2 of your former teammates called him a snitch and shouldn't have done that. Pedro and David Ortiz said that. Where do you stand on Mike Fiers?
Man, I obviously if you ask me that, the first thing that comes to my mind is like he reaped benefits in 2017. Why didn't you say anything then? You reap benefits when somebody hit a 2-run double into the gap and scored a few on your team, and you reaped a benefit for a W. So I got a tough time when people reap benefits from whatever's going on, and only they know what's going on. And that's the honest to God truth. They only know what really truly was going on. Yeah, you have some immunities, and you have some confidence, and you have some players that kind of told, and blah 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 blah, and they didn't get punished, and we saw a GM and a manager lose his job, but he reaped some benefits that season. If it was that important and he understood that it was wrong, then he should have come out. But it's easier said than done when you're in the moment of that going on, if that makes sense. So I look at now, you can say snitch, you can have comments from players all around the league. I look at it, hey, I'm happy the games found this out to clean this situation up because this is not good for baseball. This is crossing the line. This is more than me and you looking at a pitcher trying to tip his pitches on his curveball and his changeup with our own eyes. If he's doing something in his glove that we could see, that's a tip or a catcher sign that we can pick up. This is across the line and over the line, so it's something we've never had to deal with. So I stand right in the middle. I'm angry that maybe he didn't say anything when he was reaping those benefits from the W's, but I'm also happy that maybe something had to be said, and he was the guy to have, that was strong enough to come out and say it, because it's not easy either to come out and say something. So he's going to take a lot of heat, and both sides, I understand.
Kevin Millar is working with Goodyear and Goodyear Auto Service and Just Tires. Have 31 days during spring training of significant savings, March deal days, and you're a big car guy. So I'm thinking about like comedians in cars getting coffee where Jerry picks these tremendously individual, cool, classic cars to do his interviews in. You give me, throughout history, your perfect spring training car that if you were driving around Phoenix or driving around Florida, you would want to be in for 30 days bopping around to games.
I'm going to tell you right now, I love Barrett Jackson. When you get out here to Scottsdale, it kind of feels like that. The weather's perfect, so you can get yourself a 1967 Camaro, rebuilt. I love the sound of those old engines. You put a big old with some headers in there. And so when you're talking about March deal days from Goodyear Auto Service and Just Tires, give me the 67 Camaro. Give me the 67 Camaro, painted whatever color you want to drive around for 30 days. I'm all in. I used to have a 68. I got rid of it a little bit. The golf course cars you drive around. But the good thing about this whole situation is that you could go out there and save big on different services throughout the month. March deal days. And so that's oil change and batteries and alignment, shock and struts and brakes and tires. So give me that 67 model, and I'll do that and take care of the March deal days from Goodyear Auto Service and Just Tires.
I love that. My dad is a huge muscle car guy. For my high school car, he bought me a 72 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Wow.
Now that's a beast. Imagine learning how to drive on something that's basically as large as a boat, and that front fender, I could take out the Volvos in the high school parking lot and I wouldn't feel a thing, and that thing would be totally crushed. That monster has an incredible engine. It was awesome.
Dude, that is awesome right there. And that's how you learn. You got to bump around a little bit.
That's right.
Boats, you know what? Same thing pulling in a boat to a slip for the first time. You're going to come in a little hot. There's no brake.
Rubbing is racing, especially when you're learning how to drive. Kevin Millar joining us. You hear him and you watch him on Intentional Talk on MLB Network, and he's working alongside Goodyear. Visit GoodyearAutoservice.com or JustTires.com for the promotion. Kevin, a lot of fun, my man. Thanks so much for doing it.
Hey, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You too.